I know you'd rather drive up here. I know you'd rather be with us here, but I think this should work for you. And also, I'd like to welcome Amber back. Glad to have you aboard again.
Thank you.
And I think it's a real plus for us and for the county as far as that goes.
Thank you.
We are going to approve the minutes of the meeting. Do we have those?
Nope.
You're back, huh?
Yeah.
Then we'll pass over that and we'll go to the reason why we're here. Just to review, after we met the last time when we were going to set a date to meet with the commissioners. Speaking of commissioners, we're missing Ed, aren't we?
Ed is traveling.
He is traveling. I guess you mentioned that, or somebody did. Okay. We talked about, after this, a town manager, I think in Union, contacted us and asked about, did you guys ever consider a commissioner at large? Which we never did, we never thought of it. So I contacted each of you and asked what you thought about it. I contacted Jim and asked him the same question. And I said in my note that if we have an interest in getting together and talking about it, we will, and we did. So that's why we're here. The commissioner at large, as we have talked about in the note anyway, is we would go from 3 to, the proposal is we would go from 3 to 5. The 2 extras would be at large. You would have no specific district responsibility. And Jim was pretty clear, we need to make that very clear because the state doesn't want us to run around, do an end run around their rules. When we talked about the commissioner job, we talked about the 2 reasons why we thought going from 3 to 5 was a good idea, was two things. One, to be able to build a closer relationship with the towns. It's really no secret that the towns have a frustration with us from time to time, and have fewer towns to service and a better opportunity to build a relationship, explain why we do what we do, and get a little more input, and perhaps be a little better county for that. The other reason is to work to kind of reduce some of the travel. Knox County is a big county, 45 or whatever it is, 2,000 people. There's a lot of distance between locations. So if we could cut that down, that would also help the commissioner process. That's why we get into it. Then we get into the commissioner at large discussion, and which we'll have this evening. My only question was, how did that help the 2 objectives we had about building a relationship with the districts when you don't have a district? And of course, it doesn't really do much for the travel problem either. But that's what we're here to discuss. I thought we'd kick it off with Jim just giving us his view of the chances of making this happen, and then we can discuss if we're interested in doing it. Jim?
Well, thank you. And Charlie, thank you for asking me to weigh in on this. It's interesting because we've seen in certain governmental agencies and government relationships, the idea of an at-large seat as opposed to a district type of seat. And I gave some examples in the email that I sent back to Charlie that I think you've all seen. But when you look at our federal system, we have Congress. Congress has a Senate, where you have 2 for state, and then you have representatives based upon who are more local. They have districts, and they're based upon population. And so you get a different type of perspective from each body. And we see the same thing happen in our state house here in Augusta, and in some of our cities. In Portland, where I live, we have at-large councilors as well as district councilors. But state law is kind of funny with regard to the county. And what it says, right in section 61, there shall be a board of commissioners from each county consisting of a chairman and 2 other persons. Each of the commissioners of a county must represent one of the commissioner districts established by law for the commissioner's county. And then each member of the Board of Commissioners must be a resident of the district that's represented, shall be elected by the voters of that district. So state law does contemplate that county commissioners will be elected from districts representing districts. It doesn't make any account for an at-large seat. Now, I also see that, we talk about 3 county commissioners, and we know that you can have different numbers by charter. And you can do things differently in setting up your government through a charter, which Knox County has. But can you do something so fundamental as elect an at-large commissioner where the state law talks about districts, representing districts, commissioners representing districts and elected by voters of the district? I think that's a stretch. I think that's a problem. That's difficult to get around. So while I can understand the idea of wanting to move from 3 to 5 commissioners now, with the idea that after 2030, when there's another apportionment committee, after another census, there'll be an opportunity to increase the number of districts and to make them district commissioners for 4 and 5. But I think that not only do you have the problem that Charlie pointed out in that going from 3 to 5 with 2 at-large commissioners doesn't achieve your objectives of giving a more personal representation, a more direct representation to towns, and reduce distances, but then it also runs up against this legal problem that I think it would be up to the legislature to have to change. And that would be really a big problem trying to do that in this session of the legislature. We're getting down to closing days. New bills aren't being introduced. If you were to try to get something in front of the Legislative Council to introduce it in the legislature this session, good luck. I don't think that's going to happen. The other thing is, if you put this together into a charter amendment now to send it out to the voters, you have to put together a report, you have to take a vote, and while I think this could be an amendment and not a charter revision, which would trigger the need for a charter commission, you also have to get a sign-off from a member of the state bar, an attorney in good standing in Maine, to sign off that nothing in this would violate or be contrary to the laws of the state of Maine or the state and federal constitutions. I just told you that there's a bit of a roadblock here. And I have a hard time signing that letter that this does not violate state law, where I have no qualms, no questions about whether you can have an at-large council, at-large commissioner, when you have a state law that that says as a fundamental tenet, you're elected by district, by the voters of the district. So that's my read on it, and I hate to be the killjoy and the harbinger of doom and gloom, but sometimes that's my job, and if I could find a way to go forward with the idea or at least to support it, I would, but on the whole, I think it's nice try, but I would throw cold water on it for those reasons.
Comments?
I think that this proposal does meet the things that we're trying to accomplish, in that it does decrease the workload of the 3 commissioners. It spreads it out amongst the 5. You mentioned the travel, but I think it would help in decreasing their workload.
How is that?
Well, they could break into committees to work on things. Right now, they can't even do that.
Are you talking about just going this straight 3 to 5, or the 3 to 5, including 2 at large?
Well, I'm just talking about 5 versus 3.
Oh, okay.
It does spread the workload.
But that's not the issue.
Right.
Well, the issue is whether we think the legislature would buy this.
Would buy the commissioners at large.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they would buy the 5 if we could fit it with the census, but we have to wait until 31 to get that done.
I'd like to see it before I die.
Yeah.
Don't die yet. No, I don't see any light of day. I think we should abandon that and if we just look at the charter has some amendments that we want to propose, fine, but we gotta wait till 2030.
We own the three.
We own the three, as dysfunctional as it, I don't, not the individuals, as dysfunctional as three is, it just doesn't work in today's government. We need five, but we just have to wait.
In our report, I think we should say that we looked at this and we found that there were legislative roadblocks that it couldn't be done until 2030.
Yeah.
But we are encouraging it to be done.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how we can do it. And it's just, I think it's important, but I just,
It's just not gonna happen now.
I'm not gonna die on this hill.
no.
Right.
Right.
John,
Yes.
any thoughts?
I just don't think it's gonna happen now. I mean, legally, we can't go to the at-large, and we're just gonna have to wait until 2030.
Kevin?
I think in the meantime, some of what we want to achieve, I know we discussed doing bylaws and having just more in place for the Commission and Budget Committee and having more communications. I think we can start to achieve some of those goals with having that kind of communication of representation and things of that matter in the meantime. So we're still feeling like we're making progress, making change, but obviously ripping off.
Yeah, when Ed gets back, we're gonna need to set a time to visit with the commissioners and tell them what we did, how we arrived at our various suggestions, as well as, I think, I agree, we should mention that we looked at this, we couldn't do it, but we recommend in the future of going to 5 at the present time. And we can revisit that as the time draws near, but we just can't leave this hanging out there. So we need to close the loop on this.
Yeah, let's get the pieces done that we can get done.
Yeah, exactly. Gordon?
Let me ask you, we established that at the earlier meetings that, although I disagreed with it, I'm happy to go on with the consensus 3 to 5. If we still have to wait until 2030, do you think there's still an appetite to go 3 commissioners with districts plus the 2 at large? Or would we just redistrict so that each of the 5 has...
You're talking in 2030?
Yeah, so that each of the 5 has specific towns and
I
municipalities.
definitely would not leave those 2 guys hanging.
No, I think
they should have.
I think legally, from what he said, that each one has to represent a
Yeah, I think
special district.
that's the right way to go.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, because at large, you know, the 3 of them have specific duties and responsibilities to a particular municipality or group of those. The other ones are kind of free-floating. It just...
I don't like that at all.
I'm just amazed that more, I mean, we're not a big county. I mean, we're territorial maybe, but we're not a big county. And I'm just amazed that other counties, I mean, I think, is there one county that has 5 commissioners? Well,
There's
all of them
2.
have 2 that.
There's one that has 7.
One that,
Right.
But anyway, it just
Yeah.
seems.
Jim, you
amazing.
told us what that was. I don't know if I have it with me,
And I'll tell you that in just a moment. That was and starting with 7.
12 counties have 3 commissioners.
Yeah, it's amazing that we, you know, the only ones that are
Yeah.
going, geez, they work a lot better if we get 5. I mean.
Yeah, Somerset, York, and Cumberland have 5. One thing to think about too, if you're going to make a recommendation for in the future going to 5 district commissioners, one thing we talked about was the idea of having 5 budget districts as well, having the budget districts be the same as the commissioner districts, so you don't have this odd situation with 8 budget districts and 5 commissioned or 3 commission districts that we have right now. You can have 5 that would be the same for both the budget and just have 2 members from each district in the budget committee.
Yeah, that's a really, we'll put that in our recommendation.
I think the budget committee doesn't have to go along with these commissioner statutes, do they?
No.
no,
So we could maybe reapportion the budget districts now.
Well, if you were to do that now, you'd have to go on the basis of the 3 districts that have just been reapportioned, so you'd be going from 8 to 3.
That'd be a lot.
And maybe if you're going to bother, you might want to wait and do it all at one time and go to 5.
Yep. That's okay, you okay with that?
Yeah, because in 2030, they might not agree with the 5 districts we've picked out.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, things will
Although
change.
we are so wise, you know, they wouldn't help themselves.
Take them a while, okay. Just on a couple of other things, Gordon, how close are we to an administrator?
Some ways away. My deal with the county is for 3 months and less if they find somebody sooner. The county has been advertising thanks to Amber's efforts, and we have a handful of candidates who we're going to soon contract with a professional search firm,
Good.
which is likely going to be at least another 45 days before we get a bundle of applications that can be submitted.
I think it's wise if we do not make a final presentation until we have an administrator. We don't want to make our minds up and all of a sudden the guy comes in and the rules have changed. Is that how you guys feel about that?
I don't think that's a problem at all.
I mean, considering we can't do anything until 2030 in terms of growing the commission, but
I just like to have the guy or girl, lady on
Yeah,
board.
careful.
Yeah, thank you. Jesus. I'll be in jail. I'll never see you again, John.
Listen, our first administrator was a female.
so
Yeah.
She didn't
Our
last.
unique and very
She did not.
talented
She
human
did not.
resource person.
She did not.
So there you go. Write that in the notes, please. Unique and talented.
who came in after her? Post?
Bill Post.
And
Okay,
then,
yeah.
So if that's okay, we'll wait till we get an administrator, then we can make the whole presentation.
Yep,
Jeff
I think it's
Northridge
only
served as
fair.
an interim.
I think so,
for-
too.
He was
Yeah, I think
between
it's-
Post and Andy.
Right, yeah.
I'm fine not having any more meetings for the next 6 weeks.
Yes, that would be great. Okay with you, John, if we wait till we get an administrator?
Yes, no, it sounds like a good idea. Bring him on board
Yeah.
also.
There. Get them.
now I'm on board.
involved.
Now I'm on board.
Yes, thank you. You're
Tim
okay.
Snyder.
Hey, you know, we'll make a change.
Jim, I don't want to run your bill up. You've been on.
That's all right, I don't want to run your bill.
Been on for 17 minutes.
You're dismissed.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Jim, thank you very much, and I'll be in touch. Thank you.
Very good, thanks, pleasure working with you all.
Thank you very much. If there's nothing else, we will adjourn this meeting.
Great. Sounds good to me.
Thank you guys for coming, and gals coming in here for a 15-minute session.
That's fine with me, I'll just